Welcome to a brand new Smart Industry program, Revolutionizing Manufacturing. I'm your co-host, Scott Achelpohl, Managing Editor at Smart Industry, and I'll be joined every month by my partner in this program, Industry 4.0 enthusiast and influencer, Jeff Winter. I came to Smart Industry from business journalism, covering trucking and transportation, the other side of the supply chain, so to speak. I'm learning a lot about how stuff is made before it's ever put on a truck or a train or a plane or a boat. I'm hoping this guy, who has worlds of experience and insight into this lane of the economy, can teach me even more.
Thanks, Scott, and I am excited to be here. And for those who don't know me, my name is Jeff Winter, and I am the Senior Director of Industry Strategy for Manufacturing with Hitachi Solutions. And what that basically means, it's my job to help point my company in the right direction to be a best-in-class digital transformation solution provider for manufacturers. In order to be successful at that, I have to be intimately involved with what's happening in the industry. And that's why I participate in so many industry associations, standards bodies, research teams, and academic groups, and even advisory boards, so that I can stay current on the latest and greatest and share those insights internally to my own team as well as to my audience. Now, in 2021, I actually made a concerted effort to be more active on social media as a thought leader. And so I started sharing my learnings and my findings and even my opinions on Industry 4.0 related topics to help educate and advance the industry. And it's been a fun ride, earning me some pretty prestigious awards as a top thought leader for Industry 4.0. And so I'm excited to be a part of this show. Thanks for having me here.
We're excited to have you, Jeff. The terrain seems to be constantly shifting when it comes to technology in manufacturing. We tend to focus on the big ideas and buzzwords, Industry 4.0, digital transformation, smart manufacturing, etc. But the tech that's been brought to the industrial economy has proven to be nothing less than transformative. So we're here once a month to help sort it out, to cut through the hype and have some fun doing it.
So I've actually taken part of dozens and dozens of podcasts, but so far this has been the first one for me like this. And I like how most of the questions that we will be answering they're audience driven. I mean, how cool is that? So each episode will have a theme to it and we will promote each one. And so you can ask your questions as comments to my post announcing each episode, or send an email directly to Jeff and Scott at smartindustry.com. So our topic today is how and where should manufacturers start with a digital transformation journey? And from my announcement post of this first podcast, we received more than a dozen questions, which is awesome. Now, most of them we're going to save for the future episodes because they will relate more to other topics that are upcoming. But a few of them we're going to use today. So with that, I'm going to hand over to you, Scott, to get started.
Thank you, Jeff. We thought we'd spend a few minutes starting on the ground floor, so to speak, as Jeff mentioned, by talking about how and where manufacturers can start their digital transformation journey. And we landed on this idea, and Jeff is going to be a big help in this area, defining the difference between Industry 4.0 and digital transformation. For help with this, I'll turn to Jeff to help explain the differences.
So this is a great question and one that I get asked often. So here's the best part, or the worst part, depending on how you look at it. There is no universally accepted or agreed upon definition for either Industry 4.0 or digital transformation. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, it's up to every company to come up with their own definition to figure out how to thrive in this time. So, but here's how I like to describe it. When people ask me, Industry 4.0 is the nickname or the moniker given to the fourth industrial revolution. And as its name implies, it's a revolution in the way that the industry operates, including how everyone within it works, often resulting in big changes to society. And so far, I've had three major industrial revolutions, each making big shifts in how the whole industry operates. So the first was all around steam power. The second was all around electricity. And the third was really about the computer and the internet. And the one we're in right now, the fourth, is all about smart, autonomous and interconnected systems that blur the lines between the digital, the physical, even the biological worlds. It's about capturing and harnessing the power of data to change the way that we make decisions and provide value. Now, the term was famously introduced to the world at Hanover Fair in Germany in 2011 as part of the German high-tech strategy. Now, originally, Industry 4.0, as defined by the German high-tech strategy, focused on integrating cyber-physical systems, IoT, and smart factories to create highly efficient and automated manufacturing processes. But over time, this concept has expanded to include connected products and services across various industries, extending beyond just production, but to revolutionize entirely new business models and even consumer experiences through enhanced connectivity and data-driven decision-making at a massive scale. Now, digital transformation is the journey that companies take to harness all these new digital technologies, digital tools, and even skills. So while Industry 4.0 sets the stage for this new industrial era, digital transformation is the path that businesses follow to thrive in this new landscape. But digital transformation also applies to concepts and industries well outside of the scope of Industry 4.0. For example, improving healthcare with telemedicine and electronic health records, or optimizing retail operations with e-commerce and digital marketing. Those are all part of digital transformation, but not really Industry 4.0. So however you define it, just make sure that you document it, that you communicate it to everyone, because without a consistent definition, you're going to struggle to get everyone to be on the same page.
So Industry 4.0 is an era. When we were prepping for our premiere, Jeff had the idea that we'd talk about where we are in this era, in Industry 4.0. How far along are we? And is there any manufacturer left who isn't here participating in this era? Jeff, what do you think? Where are we?
So it's a hard question to answer because of the lack of standardization on the terms that I just went over. But here's what I can tell you. In 2022, IoT Analytics did a report on Industry 4.0 adoption, and they evaluated adoption and investment across 15 different smart manufacturing use cases and 16 different smart product use cases. Now, North America was leading in smart products at 56%, and APAC was leading in smart manufacturing at 52%. Now, this is a percentage of the use cases that companies reported that they are either partially or fully rolled out in each region. So APAC was also leading in investment for both smart products and smart manufacturing. But if you look across the top use cases, they all vary across all the regions. And this shows you that not everyone is even doing the same thing. So another thing to share is the World Economic Forum in 2022 came out with a report analyzing the first 600 SIRI assessments, or Smart Industry Readiness Index assessments. And they evaluate three different categories: organization, technology, and process across 16 different dimensions, and found that an average score on a scale of 0 to 5 was around a 1.5. And the top 10% were only around a 2.5. And then on top of that, World Economic Forum also has had their Global Lighthouse program now for about 5 years as an attempt to identify the best of the best, the ones that are doing Industry 4.0. There are 153 lighthouses that have been recognized on their last wave as of December 2023. So there are other reports out there that focus on specific technology adoptions, and those often show much higher numbers, because adoption of a technology is different than actually transforming a business or realizing the full benefits of Industry 4.0. So no matter how you look at this, we're just getting started in our journey.
Interesting. Also, on our run into the show today, we deduced that we are at least reasonably far along in Industry 4.0, since there are certain technologies which we say we use less, but are so ingrained that they're part of the quote-unquote manufacturing furniture. For example, let's take IIoT, Respondents from Industry Week's annual tech survey, Industry Week is a sister brand to Smart Industry, reported their companies weren't utilizing IIoT as much. But if you ask them if they are still collecting data from their plant operations and feeding that data into digital systems to drive this production decision making, that's IIoT. So see, IIoT is common enough that it's not even referred to as a standalone technology anymore. Companies use it. They just might not be calling it IIoT.
And that's a great point. And this is where buzzword bingo comes into play. Most of the big buzzwords out there, Industry 4.0, digital transformation, and I would even put AI, IoT, digital twin as a few that are just really ideas. They're concepts. They aren't a specific technology or product, but often an ecosystem of technologies and products kind of coming together. They all have merit and are all being used, but the terms and way to describe them change from company to company, application to application, and even have changed over time. So not only that, but emerging technologies eventually, and in some cases very quickly, they become foundational technologies. IoT used to be an emerging technology, but now has become more of a foundational technology. And as an example, using AI in industrial applications highly depends on IoT to be successful, just further validating your point.
Interesting. Interestingly, when we were promoting the premiere of our program, we invited our audience to give us questions to answer here, as we will do every single month. Here's another shameless plug. Our email is jeffandscott@smartindustry.com. So please email us questions. And a couple of questions were Industry 4.0 related this time. I'm going to count on Jeff to mostly answer these. Our friend Prebnahar asks, for a small or medium-sized manufacturer, what are some initial low-cost steps they can take to begin their Industry 4.0 journey?
Another great question, and another one that doesn't have a simple answer. So the main things this depend on are the specific industry you're in, whether you're electronics, whether you're steel, food and beverage, machine builder, or whatever you are, and your current digital maturity. So I actually helped co-author a 60-page guidebook for Mesa on low-risk incremental approaches to smart manufacturing, specifically for small and medium-sized manufacturers. And in this guidebook, we talk about the 5 drivers of smart manufacturing. We talk about what the smart factory looks like, including the 4 different areas of modular smart transformations, which was environmental monitoring, real-time process control, quality inspections, and knowledge management. And then we give 10 steps to help identify, implement, and even justify the right use cases. And I can share a link for that if you want to read the full document. Now, all that being said, if I had to pick one, the one I would probably pick would be the easiest, the low risk applications. They're the ones that have anything to do with paper elimination and the use of digital tools. So anywhere paper is being used or any other manual administrative tasks, even Excel to manage any processes, can easily be replaced with low-cost systems that are more controlled and more secure. They're better managed and oftentimes more accurate because they minimize data entry. They're backed up and they allow for future analytics and integration. And this is especially true for digital work instructions, just knowing the high turnover rates today and difficulty of manufacturers hiring frontline workers. In fact, I was even told that Microsoft is part of their internal supply chain visibility initiative that they worked on several years ago, the first phase of their project, including taking away Excel and PowerPoint from their employees for managing and reporting on their supply chain. And they're the ones that own the products. So it absolutely can be done.
Good stuff, Jeff. Justin also asked us a question related to Industry 4.0. He asked us, what areas of Industry 4.0, if any, should smaller companies avoid engaging in to ensure the highest ROI and minimal scope creep on their journey?
So small manufacturers have the advantage of being nimble and less bureaucratic, enabling faster decision-making and implementation of Industry 4.0 initiatives. but they often face disadvantages such as limited resources and expertise. So to overcome these challenges, they should focus on incremental, low-cost transformations and leverage proven technologies and modular solutions that can be scaled gradually. Now, this is an overgeneralization, but smaller companies should also look more for off-the-shelf platforms rather than building custom, because off-the-shelf options are usually more cost-effective, quicker to implement, and come with vendor support and proven reliability, reducing the risk and resource burden associated with custom development and management of the system once they get it. Also, smaller companies typically have simpler operations that off-the-shelf solutions are just more readily able to support.
Interesting. Chris also asks us, who's still not on board with Industry 4.0 and why?
So despite the Industry 4.0 buzz, there will always be laggards on the technology adoption curve. And in some case, even Luddites. And if you aren't familiar with that term, it originated from the early 19th century English textile workers, specifically after a guy named Ned Ludd, who destroyed weaving machinery to protest the Industrial Revolution. And they believed that manufacturers use machines in a deceitful manner to replace skilled workers and drive down wages by producing inferior goods. And now we as society use Luddite as a term to describe individuals that are resistant to technological change. Now, some industries and companies are racing ahead, driven by an innate desire to innovate and stay ahead of the competition, while others are taking a more leisurely stroll. But make no mistake, whether they're enthusiastic innovators who see the value immediately, or reluctant laggards, or even worse, Luddites that are forced to change by necessity, everyone will eventually have to embrace change or risk going out of business. The innovators are already reaping the rewards, but even the laggards, kicking and screaming, will have to upgrade or adapt or face the harsh reality of being left behind in an increasingly digital world that is changing faster and faster and faster.
That's great stuff, Jeff. Thank you. Bhavesh asks this: can small enterprises compete effectively with larger corporations? And will it reduce the wealth gap? Or are we at risk of reliving the era of computerization and automation?
So yes, small enterprises can absolutely compete with the larger corporations in the era of Industry 4.0. And this may surprise you, but smaller companies can leverage new technologies like AI and IoT to optimize operations and innovate at a faster pace, which can really sharpen their edge in the market. Now, one of the biggest reasons why they can do this is because of the servitization of the industry, especially related to subscriptions and outcome-based contracts. These two changes in the way products and services are provided dramatically help small companies make more investment with less upfront risk or the need for upfront capital or cash. For example, cloud computing is a game changer because it lets small companies access high-powered computing resources without needing to invest heavily in physical infrastructure. This means that they can use only what they need, yet scale up quickly and efficiently when things get busy or take off. And another interesting point, which I don't think most people realize, is there are areas where small companies actually have an advantage. So MIT Technology Review, along with Microsoft, released a study this year on AI and showed how high revenue manufacturing companies are less likely to find data suitable for AI. 40% of companies 100 million to 499 million had all or most of their data ready for use for AI, whereas only 18% for companies with revenue over $10 billion. That's a big difference. Yet they also point out how the biggest players are spending the most on new technologies like AI, proportionally compared to their revenue. Now, on top of that, according to Rockwell's 9th Annual State of Manufacturing Report, manufacturers with annual revenues less than 500 million use only 38% of their data effectively, compared to those with revenues of over 30 billion they use 51% of them use their data more effectively. So this tells me that small companies are more poised to take advantage of new data-hungry technology, but aren't. And because of this, proportionally, it would cost a lot less to make an impact as a small to medium-sized manufacturer. So combine low cost of entry and higher data readiness, and you could make big moves quickly. As far as the impact on the wealth gap, that's a trickier question to pin down because it dives deeper into socioeconomic and geopolitical factors that are complex and very varied. However, what's clear is that the adoption of these technologies can improve our working lives and enhance work-life balance by better remote collaboration, streamlined processes, and just reducing, repetitious and tedious labor.
Okay, Jeff, finally, probably our favorite question. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Do you mean African or European? And I know who asked that question. Thank you, Ira, for asking that question as part of this podcast.
Great stuff, Jeff. That's all the time we'd set aside for today's episode. I'm Scott Achelpohl of Smart Industry.
And I'm Jeff Winter, and this has been Revolutionizing Manufacturing.
Just a reminder that our social channels are open for questions we can answer during our July episode. And just a reminder that they also can be sent to jeffandScott@smartindustry.com. Everyone have a pleasant day. So long from Smart Industry, and we'll chat again next month.